Hey guys, this is Timothy. This is my channel. I'm doing a YCS December 2023 best deck tier list. I'm here with Tim and Paul, who were my 3v3 partners, two of the best duelists in Pittsburgh that I'm friends with. I figured we'd make a tier list together to help anyone going to Italy. Paul, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Pearly sucks. Tim?
Tim?
How's it going, guys? Yeah, I'm really excited to make a tier list.
Wow, dude. So studious. All right. Uh, First deck. We'll go in order. We have Branded Fusion, the deck. So like Branded Despia, because the Chimera deck's different. Paul, what do you think of this deck?
This deck is definitely low tier 2. I don't think it's anywhere near tier 1 anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's just literally better decks. If you want to accomplish like its selling point to me is the fact that the puppet lock is so powerful. It just wins like almost every matchup. But hand traps are so popular. Ash blossoms in every deck. If you want to FTK your opponent like Infernoble or Manadium, I think just do it better. Tim,
Not to mention all the Pistials for Unchained as well.
true.
Stop the gimmick puppet.
Yeah, like I think if there was a format where this deck or like if there was a format where hand traps weren't popular, this deck is like viable. But I think right now this deck is just like almost unplayable because it's like objectively one of the worst combo decks. So I think it should probably be either rogue or absolute dog shit.
Bro, tier 2, bro. There's no
No,
way.
I think low tier 2. Low
All right,
tier
all
2.
right. I've been outvoted.
All right, Centurion. I think this deck's pretty nice. I think that their support they're lacking in a bit. Their engine's like pretty decent, but it dies to like an imperm. Then they have to have an extender. It's like if you have two hand traps, I feel like you're pretty safe against this deck. I feel like right now
As
it's
long,
like tier 2 maybe. What are your guys' thoughts?
I would actually say tier obviously there's not 1.5, but I would say it's more 1.5 too. As long as Cosmic Cyclone's not in the meta, I feel like this deck has an opportunity to do well. Because it doesn't really lose to any hand traps straight up. Besides maybe an Imper if they have nothing else.
Yeah, I think this deck's like viable just because it like Paul said, like only loses to like Imperm slash like Veiler. And it doesn't even like hard lose to Veiler really. Like I think this deck is definitely viable. It just needs to be tested more and like figure out what like the non engine is, I feel like. Like I think this deck is definitely like a solid tier one strategy.
Understandable. Chimera. Tim, what are your thoughts on Chimera?
This deck fucking sucks. And it's I want it to go here so badly. Like it's not even funny. If you play this deck, I'm sorry. Retire.
Paul.
I want to say it's a decent deck. Because, playing against it, I feel like this deck, if it goes off, it just feels like unwinnable. But then it has not performed at all. So I think it probably has to go to Rogue, to be honest.
Yeah, personally, I would put it in absolute retired the deck, like terrible table 500. But I think it'd be a disservice to them. Like, it's definitely gonna be better than the other table 500 decks, but there's no
Yeah.
way you show up to a tournament with Chimera and expect to win. Um,
Yeah. We'll just keep it
Okay,
in
to
rogue.
be to be fair, we put Branded as tier 2. So, I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
okay.
very far
dude,
off
I
Branded, to
think
be
that
fair.
branded Despia deck is better than the Chimera deck. Low key.
I mean, it might be, but I don't know about to say that it goes an absolute dog shit tier. That's for sure.
That's true. That's true. It's definitely not absolute dog shit tier. We're just D1 haters.
Yeah, I think we should probably just put. Well, I think Branded should be in rogue, to be honest.
We can change them around later too.
All right. Well, I'm moving this
I
down
know
to
you
rogue.
want to put Branded in Rogue, but you got outvoted.
Fuck. Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at this for now. It's fine. Dark World. Uh. Oh, brother.
As good as this, I think this deck can be at times. I just think it's inconsistent and loses to Shifter and Droll far too hard to be good.
Yeah, it loses to Droll. Everybody's playing Droll, and it's like I feel like if I wanted to lose to Droll, I'd just play Manadium, so I could play actual non-engine in my deck. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I really don't like this Dark World deck. I think it just griefs your tournament.
Yeah. This deck is like. it's one of the best combo decks in like a format where once again like hand traps aren't popular. Well, like specifically Droll and Shifter, which this format is not one of those because like this deck can play through every hand trap legit aside from those, and that's like what makes this deck so fun. And
Well, the
like this
problem
deck,
is it can play through. It can also just lose to Ash Blossom at times
true. I feel
because
like
of
that's
how
pretty
much it
rare though.
does.
I don't know. My experience with Dark World is they like sack the absolute shit out of me. But
Yeah, that's what I mean. It just griefs your tournament. Like if they win the die roll and they open like playable and you don't draw a droll, then like the game's just over. But they'll never win a tournament because they don't win enough die rolls and everybody plays droll. So it's like it's never gonna win. It's just there to ruin like someone's day rounds 1 through 3.
One
basically,
could probably squeak in at a top, but I don't think it could ever win an event because of its inconsistencies.
100%. I
So
think
absolute dog, please retire the deck status.
that's where I'm gonna put it.
I'm down to put it
Unless it's
there.
max rarity, then you can put it in tier 2.
Yeah, only if you have
Otherwise,
ulti
not
for
happening.
Sylvas. Dinosaurs. Absolute dog,
Uh,
bro. I can't remember
yeah.
the last time someone like did well with this deck.
Shouts to Mike.
I also can't remember the last time I lost to a Dino player. Any disagreements?
Shout out to Mike.
Shout outs to Mike.
Yeah, this deck is terrible. Like, there's legitimately no saving this deck. It's once again a combo deck that loses to Droll slash Shifter, and then also manages to lose to like other hand traps as well.
Let's be clear though, I still hate Miscellaneous Source and it should be banned, but this deck is terrible.
Yeah, that card genuinely painful.
Fire Kings. Do either of you have much experience with the Fire King stuff?
I legitimately have no idea what any of these cards do. I just
I
know this deck
watched a
is
few
popular.
videos, and from what I've seen, until we get some of the new support in 2024, I don't think this deck can be amazing. It can be, it can definitely get you into day 2 top probably, but I don't see it winning a YCS right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I
I
don't like the current level of support. There's no way this wins the YCS. But
So you think
I
we
think
I
like
would
next
say
format
high,
Rogue?
in a
yeah,
couple of
high
sets it'll
rogue
be
or low
decent.
tier 2 probably.
I'll go with Rogue because I genuinely have no opinion.
I'm down for Rogue. Although this, I feel like it's a similar tier as Branded, but we can fix it at the end.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Uh, Dragon Link. Uh, I personally don't like this deck very much. What are y'all's thoughts?
Uh, I think
I
this
hate the
deck.
deck. I hate the deck personally, but I don't think you can get away from calling it at least a tier 2 deck. Because, I mean, it does have a decent Unchained matchup, I feel.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. It's like one of those decks that's like physically painful to play against, but just nothing you can do about it. Cause like even though like the results aren't always there with this deck, like people just love showing up with a strategy, and they love taking forever to finish their combos. Shouts to Jimmy. And yeah, I think this is definitely a solid tier 2 deck, even though I don't think like I think this deck has like similar problems to all the other decks that we've mentioned so far, but it just happens to be like better at going second and playing into boards.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like tier 2 or
It's
tier
probably
1
better than probably better than Branded though. Probably higher than Branded.
for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. Uh,
Flunderees. Tim, what are your thoughts?
I think this deck is actually pretty solid right now. Like aside from the fact that it can lose to Droll, but like I mean, I think this deck like its only real issue is consistency, and that's always been the problem with Flu. I think it's like at least a solid tier 2 deck, maybe like high end of Rogue. Like I think like if you're able to resolve the combos like the deck can do, you're in a very good spot most of the time.
But the fact that you can run like 9 pot cards, it just feels like that deck always should be kicking. It's just sometimes works out better than others. Also, shout out Raw Snappy. Solid
Big
tier 2 deck
facts.
though.
All right, where do you guys want to put this?
I want to put it in tier
Probably
3.
right.
Like
You can put it
definitely
in
above
between or
branded.
below. Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. For higher, like the Sprite for higher deck.
I think right now it's pretty bad, to be honest.
You
I don't
think
think it has
it's
much going
better
for it.
than, like, what tier do you think?
I think it's probably absolute dog shit right now.
Oh, bro,
It's
there's no
you,
way. At
I
least
agree.
it
it's
just
I
there's
think
no
this
broken.
room
deck
for
is terrible.
non-engine,
Yeah,
and I think
exactly.
you need non-engine right now.
Yeah, there's too many like good going first decks for this like to actually be competitively viable. Cause like it's a government lie to say that the runic spell cards are going second cards because you're always going neg to activate the disruption ones, and then most of the time they're still not impactful enough. And then the fur hire stuff, it's not like it plays through boards like incredibly well. Neither do like the sprites either. I feel like.
Like Brandon doesn't have a lot of room for non-engine, but at least it does have an auto win button going first, where it's like the fur hire deck does not, and it can lose to Droll, it can lose to a well-timed Ash. Like I don't think that deck's right now. It was one thing when there just wasn't a lot of good decks.
Yeah,
Definitely better
that's
than
fair.
dinosaurs. So let's be clear about that.
Oh yeah. I think it's probably better than Dark World.
Oh, if we're putting an absolute dog, it has to be the top of absolute dog. I feel like
Okay.
That's fine.
the things I was going for it is it's consistent and its end board, like going first if it combos, is like pretty good. Uh, but yeah, weak going second. Not a lot of non-engine. Yeah, so not great. Infernobles. Paul, what are your thoughts on this deck?
I think it's a solid tier 1 deck. I think it's probably better than Centurion. The deck can play through numerous hand traps. It has a lot of room for non-engine. I would say the only bad thing about this deck is how hard it is to play at times. But I think it's a good deck.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is like by far and away the best like true combo deck because like there are other decks that are like mid range, but I think like if you purely want to play like a good combo deck and like you're able to figure out the combos, this deck is like incredible. I feel like
Like
absolutely tier
Vanadium
one.
is a combo deck, but it's like the same combo over and over again. Where it's
And
like
that
this deck, I feel like there's so many lines and all that.
yeah, and I feel like Infernoble just like plays their hand traps better. I don't know. Like it seems like it's less impactful hand trapping
It doesn't
Infernoble
auto lose to
compared
any
to
hand
Vanadium.
trap besides maybe Shifter, I feel. And the fact that Aqua Dolphin can just knock draw out of your opponent's hand is pretty good as well.
Yeah, Connector's a custom card. That shit's broken. I do think this is the one combo deck that I don't want to play against if I was going to a YCS. Like, that'd be my biggest concern is losing the die roll to Infernoble. So I definitely think it's tier 1, like one of the best. Like, if I wanted to play combo, I'd probably show up with Infernoble, maybe Vanadium. Probably Infernoble, though. Yeah. What's this next deck? Kashtira?
Yeah.
Uh,
I'll speak for everyone here. Absolute dog shit. Just play
yeah.
this deck this
After he won
weekend.
our locals with it 1 week ago.
Listen, sacking people's easy, you know. Actually taking this deck to a YCS, not so much. That's for sure.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it'll like win, or
Um,
maybe one will get top cut if they're lucky.
I think it's like a decent rogue deck to be honest. Like I think like if you're able to like either blow your opponent out with like a shifter or like going second cards, like I think this deck can definitely like do well at a big event. Like I feel like it's easily at least a rogue deck. Like I don't think it's absolute dog shit.
I don't know. I feel like it's pretty bad to be honest. I don't think it
I'm
has a
down to
lot
put
going
it in
for it.
absolute dog tier.
All right, we're putting it at the top though, surely.
Dude, better. All right, yeah, that's fine.
I would personally say that the fur hire stuff is better than it, but it doesn't really matter when you're in that column.
True.
Yeah, dude, this labyrinth deck though, genuinely pretty good. I feel like if I'm trying to bring a deck to catch people off guard with, I'd bring labyrinth. Paul is our resident labyrinth player. What do you think about it?
And I want to call it the best deck, but until we get the one new trap card in January, I feel like it's just a solid. It's either low tier 1 or really high tier 2.
Yeah, I think it's like at the bottom of tier 1. Like, dude, I think it's definitely better than tier 2 decks.
Well, the
Yeah,
problem is that it loses some of these combo decks. It can lose pretty hard to some of these combo decks. Is the issue? Like
yeah.
I
I
feel like
think.
If Infernoble goes first, it's a very hard battle to win.
Oh, you're definitely cooked if Infernoble goes first, but I feel like that's like every deck though. Labyrinth just happens to be like a trap deck, but I think like out of any deck you could play, it's like one of the ones that lose like the least amount of stuff.
Yeah,
And I think
let's put
it's
it in
definitely
tier
like,
one.
yeah, I think it's definitely like solid enough.
Vanadium. I think this is a solid combo deck because what it has going for it is Vicious Astrolabe is really strong playing into boards, and then the searchable counter trap. So like Infernobles have Angelic Ring, which stops like the Dark Rulers, Super Polys. Vanadium have reframing. That being said, most Vanadium decks make Escados now, which like whether you want to play that or not, it's fine. Like you're gonna win going when you go first most games anyway. I think it's a perfectly fine combo deck to play. It has solid representation. I think Infernoble might be just a little bit better if you want to play combo, but I think it's either tier one, like bottom tier one, or top of tier two.
I could
Uh,
probably agree with that.
yeah, I think it's like probably just a two deck because I think all the tier one decks are better, or tier one decks are all better, and I think like it is definitely better than all the tier two decks though for sure because like it just has like everything going for it, but unfortunately like Droll and Lockbird is just a card. So I think like realistically it's just like a tier two deck, like the very top of it, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
and I think it is. It shows a lot too with how many people are trying to like start using side decking or main decking cross out. I feel like if you start doing that, your deck is instantly like probably not that great.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that. I think this is like a good spot for the deck to be in.
All right. Marincess. I think this is like Cyber's Pile combo deck. Yeah, I think it's absolute. Like it's you can bring it to locals and do fine. You can probably bring it to regionals and do fine. But it's like, dude, if I'm trying to win a YCS, I'm not showing up with Marincess.
Let's be clear though, not worse than Dinosaur. That's
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
It's like right here, I feel like.
Yeah.
But like the
A lot
problem
of
is
room for non-engine,
yeah.
but not a very impressive combo.
Like the engine this deck has is just like so unimpressive that like it makes the deck bad. Like it has like good well, decent consistency and like good amount of non-engine, but its combo is actually just so atrocious that like it does not matter.
Yeah. Well said.
Maybe in a much
Makanko.
slower format, but definitely not now. If we're
Yeah.
talking about pure Mekanko, absolute dog shit. If we're talking about the combo, I would say mid tier two. I do actually really like that deck.
Dude, I
Yeah, I
haven't played
agree.
against combo Makanko. So I'm gonna sit this one out. Tim, what are your thoughts?
I all I know is like they like put an acid golem on field. I think that's like decent enough, and I think like the Makonko cards are like not well known enough for it to be like a surprise. Like even if like that deck didn't it win YCS?
Yeah, Mexico,
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah. Like even the fact that the deck won a YCS, like I still think it's not known well enough to where like you could easily top with this deck and beat a lot of strong strategies.
It's
I
definitely
think this
not
deck is
respected, that's for sure.
yeah, I think this deck is like a solid tier two, in my opinion. Like probably like right here, maybe here.
Yeah.
I could agree with that.
Pearly. How does
Oh,
our
babe.
Pearly believer feel about this deck?
Absolute dog shit. Below dinosaurs.
Tim?
I think it is the second or third best deck of the format. I think this deck has like everything going for it. It just has like is legit like the only issue is like sometimes it can lose to a drone lockbird or like randomly a shifter when you go first. And I think it also has like a little bit of a problem going second, but not enough to like really be a big issue. Like I think this deck plays enough non-engine. It's a consistent enough deck. I like truly think
See,
this deck is very strong.
that's where I'm gonna stop you. I do when you look at that deck on paper, you feel like you should always be comboing off, always doing everything. That deck just feels so inconsistent and can lose to a single hand trap much more than people think. and it's like, has it even won a YCS?
It is not.
Yeah, so it's just like, I just feel like it can get far. I think Chris LeBlanc has topped with it like 85 times at this point, made it like top four, and has lost like almost every single time. So
Yeah, I
I
feel like
think
this
it
deck's
is
pretty good.
low tier one, probably. I'd give it that. I
Yeah,
probably wouldn't knock it down to tier two.
it'd be a discredit to the community to not put Pearly in tier one. But I played this deck for a while too, dude. It just loses to Book of Moon, man. It's so hard to play that deck, but it's also like,
Well, there shouldn't be any books though right now, so
yeah,
in theory
people
that
shouldn't be
shouldn't
playing
matter.
books.
But as Tim Dahl can attest, this deck can just lose to an imperm at times,
Yeah,
and it
Yes,
feels
that
real
is
bad.
100% factual. But I will always be a Pearly defender. I think this deck is genuinely still like I would say like it's probably like even with Infernoble because like that is actually a die roll matchup unless like the
I do not.
Pearly player like just
I
draws
do
like
not agree with that.
broken.
dude, I think it's better than Infernoble, so I'm agree here.
There's no shot that is the best tier one deck.
Well, we haven't
Absolutely,
gotten to like the
I'd give
other
you
tier
better.
ones yet,
Maybe
but
you could give it better than Centurion. Maybe, I
bro, it
guess,
is for
but
sure better than Centurion, or for sure better
Yeah,
than Inferno.
or
infinitely
if
better.
anything, Lab should be better than Centurion, and
That's
then
fine. We can put
maybe
Lab
it's
better than
third place.
Centurion. But Pearly, it just gets more results too. And like the longer the tournament is, the better Pearly does because you can always set up your turn one combo, assuming you don't get hand trapped, like you guys said.
But almost none of them ever top. Like obviously, there's not huge numbers playing it, but a lot of well-known players have played this deck for a while and have not actually won with the deck.
Yeah,
Which
I don't
actually
know what's
thinking
up with
about
that.
it, technically Pearly has won a YCS, but it was that 3v3. I think Kamal Crooks won it with Pack and them.
Yeah. I mean, I think like as things go, this deck legit has like almost like no weaknesses. Like it really only like has like a flaw of like infinite impermanence. Like on a like there are hands that do also beat imperm. Like I just think that a lot of
Suddenly,
the
the
time this deck is
dimension
very
barrier exists.
successful. Black card should not be in anybody's side deck right now. I feel like.
Tell that to all the Labyrinth players.
All right. Well, those guys are scum. So think about it that way.
All right, just throw it in tier one. Let's go to the next one.
I'm putting it above Inferno.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. All right, Rescue Ace. I think this is like one of the format defining decks. Like, if you're entering a YCS, you have to have a side deck or main deck tailored to beating Rescue Ace. But I don't think it's tier zero. What are your guys' thoughts?
I don't think it's the best deck. I don't think any of these decks can be considered the best deck. I think there might be a couple of your best choices, which this is one of them. But I mean, if we're making Pearly the top of tier one, then I don't think you can call Rescue Ace better than that because that deck actually has a great matchup against that deck.
I think Rescue Ace is like at least right now like either like the second or first like best deck. I said Pearly was like probably around 3, 4, somewhere around there. And I think Rescue Ace like has an argument to be the best deck, but I think its matchup against Pearly is just like not ideal, which is like holding it back. Whereas like Unchained has like at least a viable matchup against Pearly. So I think like Rescue Ace is probably like the second best deck right now. I feel like.
Yeah, I'm on board. Me
So
too.
you're saying Pearly is better than it, or
No,
another
no.
deck yet to come is better? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I would say it's something like this.
Yeah, I like it there. Rika deck. European YCS. Rika players. There's like a dedicated group of people to play Rika.
Listen,
Rika
I think we
always
can all
pops.
confirm. Just put in. I lied earlier when I said there was no best deck. Just put it in the best deck, and we
Dude,
can move
I
on.
always lose to this deck. I actually hate playing against Rika.
That is true. That is very true.
What
This
tier
I've
deck
do
is
we
played it
put
like
this in?
once in my life.
I wouldn't put this in absolute dog shit because I feel like that's where it belongs, but it just
Listen,
cannot go there.
in America, it's absolute dog shit. In Europe, it suddenly becomes infinitely better. So I feel like if we're being honest, it's probably mid to high tier two. But for the
Uh,
memes, I'm gonna say best deck.
I was gonna argue that it's like objectively just like the best rogue deck, but Because like I think this deck is another one of those combo.
Well, it is
decks
just
that
another
is,
combo. That's the thing,
like
though. It's another combo pile that has a lot of room for non-engine. I feel so. It's very cookie cutter to like Vanadium and stuff like that.
yeah, it is very similar to Vanadium, but somehow is worse.
Yeah.
It finds a way.
I feel like it has rogue representation, but like its performance is tier 2. So I feel like you could put it wherever. Tier 2 probably. Like it's for sure better than branded.
I would put it like right here, right
Yeah.
below like Makonko.
Yeah, I think
I won't
Makonko is a
dispute
similar
it.
tier. Runic terrorist runic. Like floodgates and all that.
Absolute dog shit. Unless you
Dude,
have rigged dice.
and two runic players just got top 4 at like a regional playing this.
Okay.
I
Well,
do
me and
think it's
Tim were
pretty bad
talking
though.
last night about this, and I said those guys had to have cheated because there's absolutely no way that both people got that top with Rooney stun. This
Yeah.
deck is it's just memes. Like, it's definitely not a good deck whatsoever.
Yeah, I
It's
feel like
like
that for higher runic deck is literally just better than runic stun, and for higher runic we put in dog tier. So
yeah, we'll just put it in here for now because
yeah,
Runic Stun is actually just like so fucking
I'm
bad.
just saying, Dark World should have a fantastic matchup against that deck. That's all I'll say.
It doesn't matter. That deck is bottom of the barrel.
Okay.
that Dark World exists to ruin your tournament run rounds 1 through 3.
Exactly. Exactly.
Konami printed it just to ruin people. Salad, dude. If this doesn't go in absolute dog tier, I don't know what is absolute dog tier.
This might actually be the worst deck on the. Actually, no, it's better than Dinos. It has that
Okay,
going for it.
you guys are smoking crack. If you think Marincess is better than Salamangreat,
That's true.
that is
That's
an
true. Salad
absolute
is
fact.
literally better Marincess.
I
This is
disagree.
definitely one of the best of this list for sure. The problem is it loses to Nibiru. That's
This
his
deck
real
is
problem.
terrible. Like this deck is objectively just not good. Like when I
Okay,
sit
let's
across
calm
from a
down on
salad,
the terrible. Okay,
like if
let's
I
calm
sit
down.
across from a salad player, I'm like, thank you God
Dude,
that
Have
I
you
I
got
even
mean
played
that's
better
with
a
than
you
fact.
that.
before?
I have, and I lick my chops every time.
I think you're just yapping now. I
Oh,
think it's one of the best
okay.
in the absolute tier.
Yeah, I think it is. I
Personally,
think it'd be a disservice to salad players to put it that low.
So you think like right here?
no,
Paul,
I'd
what do you
say it's
think?
better than Cashier. I think it's better than Cashier
Yeah,
personally.
I think that's fair. I think goes and match plus their counter trap they search is powerful.
This is criminal.
Unless you're running Cashiera and have sticky fingers to always have shifter, that deck does not deserve to be number one.
This is criminal, but it's fine.
All right, Sky Striker, dude. I feel like nobody's gonna play it, but I feel like it's not actually table 500.
No, it's absolute dog shit. That deck cannot compete right now.
This deck is legitimately awful.
You don't
Like
think if you like double hand trap someone and then like summon Ray, send
No.
Widow Anchor, get Widow, set up like 2 more interruptions? Like Imperm's
Listen,
pretty powerful right now.
if I've learned anything from D. Ryan Pepper, this deck can either play Rescue Ace can either play through infinite hand traps or it loses to one. And in my experience, more often it's infinite hand traps. So I don't think hand traps matter that much against Rescue Ace unless you see 2 or 3 of them. In which case, I think your engine is still probably worse than Rescue Ace's.
Yeah, once Rescue Ace set 4, the game's pretty much over. It has an okay Pearly matchup. It cannot play into Infernoble, so that's bad. It cannot play into Labyrinth, so that's bad. Centurion, it has a pretty good
I don't even
matchup.
think it has like with the
yeah,
Pearly field. I don't even think it has a fantastic matchup against Pearly, to be honest.
yeah, you'd have to main like Tikaboos and stuff like that. I feel like for
Yeah,
that to be
they got
viable.
that searchable Kaiju, and that's about it. And then Talent's cards are powerful against Pearly.
Yeah, I
That's
guess
really
that's
it.
fair. That's like really like it's
Can we
not the
put it above
engine.
Marincess though, bro?
I don't
For
even
Al,
want to.
yes,
Dude,
it's your channel, so we can put it above
hell
Marine's.
yeah. All
For,
right. Sprite pile. To be honest, I'm not even sure why we put this picture in here.
yeah, this like is legit terrible, but it's like right here, I guess.
I want to believe Sprite can still be a good deck, but unfortunately, right now it's just not there. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is odd because blue is a really good card, but it's just like not good enough. So
When it's crazy how like so many cards are hit over in Japan, but we only lost Elf and then one starter, and this deck is like nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, it does feel nice though because I genuinely disliked playing against Sprite because like it just feels so bad hand trapping that deck, and then they still get like red and carrot. So I'm
Well,
happy
let's
it's
also
like falling off.
while we're at it though, let's just keep moving Kashtira down because like I definitely believe Sprite is better than Kashtira as of now.
oh
Oh,
nah, bro.
brother.
Don't instead of moving blue up, move Kashtira down. Like, bro, Sprite blue
Well, I
cannot
think there's
do
an
like a
argument to
full
say
game.
it's better than. I think there's an argument to say it's better than the Runic Furhire. That's for sure.
The Sprite deck?
Yeah.
Oh, bro, there's no way. I mean, maybe if
Yeah,
you
I
play like
definitely
adventure
disagree.
cards, I don't know. But dude, I feel like that runic Sprite deck's just the best Sprite deck.
Yeah,
Listen,
I agree.
Bam, he'll prove you guys all wrong. He'll be going second until 2026.
Yeah, bro, you'll be gamma
But I
bursting
won't
people.
argue over one more spot and absolute dog shit. That's for sure.
Sword Soul, just get this out of here. I
Dude, I have always thought this
No,
deck was terrible.
I
Dude,
don't know if it deserves that low. That's for sure. The deck can still be very annoying going first.
it's
yeah,
like
Problem is going second. It like folds to like so many decks.
right
It's definitely
here.
better than Striker.
dude,
Get
even
out
if
of
I
here.
get comboed by Sword Soul game one, I'm still feeling pretty good with most decks.
Yeah, I just think it's
It's
like
just
too
not
weak.
what it once was. Yeah.
The only benefit that deck has is that it's very good at OTKing.
Like a Chi-Chow negate and a Icarus attack, it just isn't what it is anymore.
And that's a good thing though, because we don't fuck with those cards.
Tier elements? This deck has to be tier one somewhere.
Absolutely.
I would say it's above Infernoble. Because like
Yeah,
this deck can just like can OTK like every deck going second if it high rolls enough. The problem is I feel like it has very similar issues where it's just like it's hit or miss and its inconsistencies and all that. That's why I can't see it winning a YCS, but I could see it doing well.
Yeah, this
yeah, the
also counts for
TCG
like
is
the
really
Horus,
strong.
right?
What's up?
This counts
We'll
for the
just call
Horus as well.
Yeah, I
we'll just
say
call
this
it
is
the
Horus
Horus
tier.
version. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think this deck is for sure broken. Like it just sacks you too much for it to not be good.
Yeah, it's actually so nice. Like turn one combos are really nice. The only scary part about it is you can't really play like too much non-engine. Like you play 6 non-engine, and then which is scary if you go against like Infernoble, you know. But the deck is strong going first. The engine's good playing into boards, and bro, their tier element's actually relatively powerful in the TCG. Like especially when you compare it to what the OCG or like Master Duel has. Like I think this deck's pretty nice. So I think that's a fair replacement for it.
I think
Unchained?
you could put it above Pearly, to be honest, but I don't think it's unfair to call it third.
Yeah, they're pretty similar. Unchained. I think this deck's pretty good. You guys really like the Unchained deck. So what are your thoughts?
I personally think it's the best deck. Right. If I was actually wanting to play what I thought was the best deck, I think it would be Unchained 100%.
Yeah, I
Because
think
its grind game is great. It runs very few bricks.
I think this deck is like pretty solid. It doesn't really have like too many flaws. It plays through like basically every hand trap. Cause even like Nib is like not like it's not ideal, but like you can definitely play through a Nib with this deck. And it like doesn't care about Rescue Ace at all. I feel like that deck has a very strong Rescue Ace matchup. To where like I think Unchained just is probably the best deck right now.
It's like every single deck in this tier 1 column is just like pretty hurt by that rank 6.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I really like this deck right now. I mean, I would
And it's
never
probably
play
one of
it,
the
but I think it's like easily the best or the second best.
it's
Yeah, we
probably
can.
one of the best decks too that run SP Little Knight. I don't think you call it the best deck. I think it's the best tier 1 deck.
Yeah, I feel like it goes right next to Rescue Ace. Like
Well, then
Rescue
wouldn't
Ace
it?
is pretty similar to it.
Then wouldn't we just say it's the best deck?
The
Because
the
like,
problem is the field is just so diverse Like if people are prepared and they think Unchained is the best deck, then suddenly like Blue Wandering starts popping up everywhere, and like that deck just folds like a lawn chair.
That
Yeah, to
deck
be
is
honest,
so
I don't
bad
think
against
anything
blue.
goes in best deck tier.
I don't know. I feel like if for a tier list, like I'm not saying like this deck is like above tier one. I'm just saying like for the tier one category, this is objectively the best deck. I feel like
Listen,
right now.
if we're calling best deck what we would personally play going to a YCS if we wanted to play the best deck, what we consider the best deck, then sure we put Unchained there. But if we're talking about like looking at the meta in general, I don't even call it the best deck.
Okay.
It's definitely had the most success though.
What if we put that Unchained in the best deck, and then we just put Rescue Ace next to it? Because I feel like Rescue Ace is only marginally worse than Unchained. No?
I don't know if I'd say marginally to be honest. I don't know. I'm not a big believer in this Rescue Ace deck. I just feel like it's forced to run so many bad cards.
That is true. Like this deck definitely does have a problem with the amount of like bricks it like quote unquote bricks it has. Cause like you need to draw specific cards for like the bricks in your hand to actually not be like terrible.
Dude, the Diabell Star Engine, though, powerful.
Oh yeah.
Turbulence, powerful. It's probably like
I
one
mean,
of
it's
the best
definitely
decks
the
with
deck that
SP. Isoled,
was.
custom card. I don't
Well,
know, dude.
Unchained is the best deck with SP Little Knight. Okay.
Yeah, Unchained is
Like,
powerful
you,
with the Little Knight.
you get +3 on your opponent's turn with SP Little Knight and Unchained.
Bro. That Soul of Rage into SP just cooks Vanadium 10 out of 10 times. Yeah. We can put Unchained in best deck format.
Okay.
And then proceed with life. Vanquish Soul, Rogue or bottom tier 2. What are your thoughts?
I love
Uh
this deck, but I would personally say probably mid to low tier 2.
yeah, I definitely agree. I don't like this strategy personally. I actually strongly dislike it. But being objective, I think it is definitely like around like here in terms of like actual like rating because like it's just a consistent deck and it can play a decent amount of non-engine. So
Yeah,
and
I
it
think that's a good spot to put it. I think, do you guys want to branded Despia, like the branded fusion, to Rogue?
yes,
Alright, let's do it.
absolutely
It now moves the whole way down the list. It'll be ended up an absolute dog shit by the end of this.
true.
Yeah. The, what is this? The Vision Resonator Bestial Horus deck?
Yeah, I think that's what we decided it would be.
I think it's Rogue at best.
I think it's like either
Yeah.
bottom of tier 2 or rogue for sure. I think it does have like a lot of stuff going for it, but I don't think it's like a very good deck going second. So I
I
think
mean, it's essentially good stuff, the deck. So, I mean, I guess I can't call it absolute dog shit. But I don't know if I'd enter a YCS with this deck, to be honest. So,
definitely
I would,
not.
if you want to put it top, it's fine. But I would say mid is probably, could also be fair.
Cool.
I think it should be at the top for sure, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair, dude. I actually think this tier list looks pretty nice. Like, all things considered, dude.
It does look pretty accurate, especially Dino's being at the very bottom. All
Yeah.
is red in the world.
Paul,
Shout
any
out Mike
thoughts?
Win one last time. I mean, I think it's a. I think there could be a surprise going into this YCS, like maybe Fire King's surprises or something like that. But like as of right now, I definitely think this is probably the most accurate going into it.
Cool. All right. Thanks for watching our tier list. Any thoughts and comments, leave them in the comments section. And yeah, peace.
Good work out there, gentlemen.